guys, my name is Barry and welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to be doing another anniversary review. This is for Alien, the 45th anniversary of Ridley Scott's Alien from 1979. As you can see, I've got a guest with me. It's Callum from Pop Culture Patter. How are you doing, Callum?
I'm doing well. Thank you for having me again.
Yeah, not a problem. I don't know if you guys will remember, but I done a anniversary review last year for Halloween from 1978. Callum was a guest on that as well. Callum invited me into his studio where he was working at the time, and I was able to do a really good professional review for Halloween for the 40. That was the 45th anniversary as well. We've got something about 45th anniversaries, Callum. So one of the biggest reasons I've asked Callum to come on for this is because Callum is a big fan of Alien, whereas me, I'm a fan of the franchise overall, and I appreciate what it has done for the genre, but I'm not a bigger fan of Alien as Callum. So Callum might have a bit more expertise on Alien when it comes to knowing a little bit about it. I recently rewatched it for this review as well, and I'm sure Callum has as well. When we'll get into what we're going to do with this, the format, if you're new to the format on this anniversary video, guys, is we talk about our memories of Alien, the movie. We talk about if we can remember the first time watching it or round about the first time watching it. We'll talk a bit about the movie, and then we will go into your guys' memories as well. Every time I do an anniversary review, before we record this video, I put out on social media for you guys to leave your memories, and I'll select a few memories to read out at the end, and then we'll react to those memories as well. And luckily Callum's here as well, so we can both share those memories with you guys as well. So without further ado, Callum, let's get into our memories of Alien. I think it's probably best for you to start, like if you can remember how you came about knowing about the movie, and if you can remember anything about watching it for the first time, what do you remember?
Yeah, but quite vividly, actually. I can't remember the specific date because I was trying to think that the other night of when I had my own bedroom and I had my own TV. I've got a brother, so I shared a bedroom with him when I was younger. So it's either the really late 90s or the early 2000s, but I was really young. So I could have been anywhere between the age of 9 and 12, I would say, when I first saw this movie. And it was just like how I discovered all films back in the day, was the 5 channels that we had, flicking through them until there was something that caught my eye. And I managed to flick onto BBC One and catch, you know how they used to introduce movies before they played them? Like it would be like, and tonight's movie is Alien from 1979, directed by Ridley Scott. It'd be something like that. And I just remember catching it. It was very rare that you would be able to watch a movie from the start. And I can just vividly remember the opening scene and the kind of the shots of the ship and everything being really, really quiet and eerie and no life. And I was just immediately hooked and watched it until it must have been at least like 1 or 2 in the morning at that time because it was on late night. And just absolutely loved it. And my obsession started from there. I had no idea that there were sequels and movies back then. I had no idea there was a franchise already. And I just had this love for this movie, and that's carried on into my life. And I've been a big fan of this franchise. Say what you like about it. It's not perfect, but I truly believe Alien is one of the most perfect movies in my eyes. So that's my experience of it.
Excellent. And well, I guess when you first watched Alien for the first time, there was already 4 Alien movies out at that point. Alien 1, Aliens, Alien 3, and Alien Resurrection, which was 1992.
That's true, yeah.
So you were introduced to it a little bit later than I was. Obviously, I'm 7 years older than you, so I probably watched it before you. Well, I did watch it before you because I watched it in the 80s. I must have been about 6 or 7 years old. It was around about 1989, maybe even 1990 when I first watched it. I can't remember though if I watched Aliens before Alien, because Aliens was really popular at the time as well. That came out in 1986. So I would imagine that I possibly watched Aliens before Alien. and I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing. Now, I'm going to give a shout out to my cousin Brian. I'll maybe even talk about Brian quite a lot in this video, because my cousin Brian, he's also got a YouTube channel. He's got a channel called Bry's Horror. He does
Oh,
a
cool.
lot of custom figures, like 1/6 scale figures and stuff like that. Really talented guy. Now,
Wow.
the reason I'm saying he's really talented is because one year he dressed up as the Xenomorph, the alien, and he made
No
the
way.
costume himself, the full costume himself. Now, he's got pictures of it and it's absolutely amazing. It almost looks movie quality. Now, what makes it even more amazing is my introduction to Alien was when he was making his own. I don't know if it was him or his big brother. His big brother Michael, he's got a little brother Jonathan. All three of them were Alien nuts. They love
Mm,
Star Wars. Anything sci-fi, you go to them for anything. Now,
mm,
I remember in the late 80s, I went to my cousin Brian's house, always excited to go there because they had all the latest Alien figures, the latest Star Wars figures. So we just got to play with them all if they let us. Um,
mm.
and he was making, I don't know if it was him and his big brother Michael, because Michael was a little bit older, but they were making an alien costume. Now, this might be sacrilege now, but they were making it out of, I don't know if you remember this, but in Star Wars, there was this big, massive vehicle that lifts off, and it looked like the shape of an alien head. Um,
Right.
I can't remember Brian will remember this, but there's a big Star Wars vehicle thing, a big spaceship.
Mm.
When you lift it off, the top of it looks like the top of the head of an alien. So
Interesting.
what they were doing with this was they were, I don't know if they were painting it black or putting black material around it to make a head of an alien. I've I
Ah,
remember this vividly. Hopefully Brian remembers what I'm talking about, but when they were making it, I was like, what are you doing? And they're like, oh, we're making an alien head, a xenomorph head out of this Star Wars ship that's probably worth thousands of pounds now if they didn't damage it. And they were making this alien head. I'm like, wow, that looks really interesting. What is that? And they were telling me, oh, it's from the film Alien. But again, I don't know if they were
mm.
telling me it's from Alien or Aliens. So
Ah.
I was saying to my mum and dad, like, oh, can we watch Aliens? And like, I don't know. We'll check it out at the video store or the video shop. So the
Mhm.
next time we went to the video shop looking through all the films, I'm like, there it's there, Alien. So I'm going to assume it was Alien, not Aliens, that we rented.
Mm.
And we rented Alien. Well, we definitely rented Alien anyway, whether it was before or after. Put it on, and because I was young and naive at the time, I was like, "This is like the scariest film of all time." I was so scared of this movie. Um, it was so claustrophobic. Obviously, it was made
Yeah.
to be that way, and that was my memory of being introduced to Alien. All thanks to my cousins. If it wasn't for
Mhm.
them making these xenomorph costumes, or at least the xenomorph heads, I wouldn't have questioned it, and I probably wouldn't have came across Aliens until maybe
Yeah.
when you came across it, because I wasn't interested until I saw it. Um, but when I started collecting VHSs, unfortunately, the first VHS that I bought was Alien Resurrection from 1998, because I was really into my VHSs in 1998, 99, 2000, and I remember that became available to rent, and then X Rental, you could buy it, the rental copy,
Mm.
and it was Alien Resurrection that I bought. But at the time, I actually enjoyed Resurrection. I've not seen it for years.
Me too.
I'll need to watch it again. But I remember the
Mm.
CGI at the time was great. The cast was
Mm.
fantastic. Ron Perlman was in it.
Yeah.
So I don't have bad
I really
memories.
like Resurrection.
Yeah.
I mean, it gets shat over quite a lot, but to be honest, I think see that scene with the aliens underwater.
Yo,
That is creepy.
that's exactly the scene I was talking about with the CGI. It was kind of moving like this. I'm like,
Yeah.
oh, that's good. But again, I enjoyed it for what it was. But I was young when I watched Resurrection as well. But going back to Alien, I've
Mm.
got fond memories of Alien, more so ab- about how I found out about the movie rather than the movie itself, because of my cousins and
Mm.
stuff and going to theirs, playing with their toys, even me getting some Alien figures for my Christmas because of it. Like I would get the aliens that weren't even in the movie, like the bull
Mm.
alien and stuff like that. Wasn't even in the movie, but I got it anyway. Um,
Yeah.
so many great memories. Did you ever get any of the toys for the aliens yourself?
I had a few of the comic books. Actually,
Right.
Marvel did a run. I had some of the comic books. There was a game out as well. I can't remember if it was the Sega Mega Drive or if it was PlayStation, like the early
Yeah.
days. I remember having a game, and obviously Alien Isolation came out for like the
Hmm.
PlayStation later on, and then they've now got their own kind of games. That's the thing about this franchise is there's so much out there. You know, there's toys,
Hmm.
there's comic books, there's movies, a franchise, there's, lots to get people into it. And, I didn't have much of the toys because I was more into my kind of wrestlers and my kind of,
Yeah.
Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles and superhero stuff.
Yeah.
But I think at that point, Alien toys would have freaked me out because it kind of scarred me for life, that film.
The game you were
But
talking about, sorry, I think
mhm.
it was Alien 3 for the Mega Drive. It came out in 1992. I'm sure, because
Right.
I'm sure I had the Mega Drive game, and it was just called Alien 3 because of
Yeah.
obviously Alien 3 came out at the time of Mega Drive being quite big. So that's
Mm,
possibly the game. It might not be, but that's possibly the game that you got because I think
yeah.
they were trying to rival RoboCop versus Terminator. That Mega Drive game, which was absolutely
Yeah.
amazing, and it's a similar
Yeah.
quality to it as well. So yeah, sorry, I'm just took you over
No, there was a really good Predator game as well. From I don't know if it was a Sega Mega Drive at that point, but there's a really good Predator. I think it was maybe Predator Two.
that. Right.
There was a game, so good.
Yeah, good times. And again, the early 90s for me, because I was starting, like, that's the times that I remember still of my old
Mm,
memory. I still got really good fond memories of that era, which is really nice. Because when I think of my Alien toys, I do think of my wrestling toys as well. Uh,
mm,
and my Turtles toys, just a great time. It was a great time to be
I
alive
know.
because these days kids don't really play with that kind of toys anymore. They're just more on their iPads and stuff like that, which is a shame.
Yeah,
Yeah.
or on TikTok.
Or on making videos, yeah.
I did probably about 15 years ago. There's this massive kind of alien like traveling event that it was in the Arches when the Arches was open. Basically, they would kit out the set as if it was like the Nostromo, and
All
they
right.
would have like an alien chasing you about, but it would be like you were in the movie, and it was like you were in tiny little halls. It was very claustrophobic. It was very dark. It was
Mhm.
very eerie. Honestly, it was so much fun. I can't remember the name of it, but it was just like that. It brought out that little kid in me
Yeah.
because you're like, I'm in this movie.
I think I
But
remember that.
also,
I think I remember that.
yeah, I can't remember the name, but it was like it travelled around the UK,
Uh-huh.
and I think Sigourney Weaver opened it,
Right.
like in the late '90s. I think she opened like the first one, and there's clips on YouTube of her kind of cutting about, like going like that, like
Like, I remember I went to a place called the Zap Zone in Clybank, and it reminded me of the Nostromo as well. Like, it was all dark and all the lights were all over the place, and you were shooting people. It was like a laser tag. Um,
mm,
and it was great. And when I think of it, seeing you go to old nightclubs from back in the day, like the Garage and stuff, they all kind of remind me of the Nostromo as well. They're all kind of dark and stinky.
yeah.
Good time.
No, I can see that.
Yeah. Now, that's our memories of obviously Alien, and
Mm,
we'll go into a bit about the movie itself. Like, how does it hold up after 45 years? I think I'll start with this one because I think you maybe
mhm,
enjoy the film more than me. Um,
yeah,
For me, I think after 45 years, when you compare Alien to movies from 1979, it's probably still one of the greatest films from the late 70s. After 45 years, it does genuinely look like a newish movie. Um, it doesn't need to use the CGI because it incorporates a lot of practical. And because it's set on a ship, you don't always have to show the outside of the ship because it's based in the ship. I think in 79, Ridley Scott knew the technology that they had and they worked with it. They didn't try and overdo things that they didn't
mhm,
have. So when it comes to the film, I appreciate they incorporated everything that they had at the time perfectly. So when you watch it, it doesn't look too bad. Obviously, there's some things that are dated, like the computer technology and stuff like that, which you can't help
mm,
because it's 1979. But apart
yeah,
from that, it was perfectly shot and made that way. One thing I did notice though, the editing of the movie was terrible, absolutely terrible.
Right.
There was scenes where I can't remember who it was that died. Was it, oh, what's his name again? Harry, the guy, the
Harry Dean
Harry
Stanton.
Dean. I'm sure it was the scene where he got killed. It was either
Mm.
him or Dallas. Anyway, after one of them get killed, it might have been Harry Dean Stanton. When he get killed, it cut after he get killed, and then they all started talking about how big the alien was, and we're like,
Mm.
and I'm like, how do you know how big the alien was? We didn't see his body. It's almost like it just cut. It missed something out.
Yeah.
And I'm like,
Fair point. I didn't pick up on that.
yeah, but like, obviously it was a really small golden alien moving about to
Mm.
begin with,
Yeah.
and he found the skin. So obviously it shed skin. Then he
Mm-hmm.
noticed it was massive, and it killed him. After it killed him, it cut to the crew saying that he's been killed and the alien's huge. And I'm like, oh, how did you know that? Did you
Yeah.
never explain that? And then there's a scene where the other two crew, I can't remember their names now, the black guy and the other woman, Lambert,
Mm-hmm.
is it Lambert and
Lambert and Parker.
Parker? Yep. So they two were getting killed at the same time by the alien.
Yeah.
The alien was putting its mouth thing through Parker, and
Mm-hmm.
as it's doing it, he's screaming, and then it cuts to Ripley, and then it cuts to Parker and Lambert again, and the alien's no longer looking at him; it's facing Lambert,
Mm-hmm.
but he's still screaming with the alien going through his chest. And
Yeah.
I'm like,
That scene is, yeah, that's probably the weakest part. I think they were just kind of trying to speed things up at that point, and they were like, come on, let's get to the end.
it felt like it was kind of speeding it up. Now I watched it with Jack, my son, and he was excited to watch it because I told him before we watched, I said, listen, this is one of the greatest horror movies ever made. It's one of the greatest movies ever made. It's in the top 250 of IMDb. He's like, let me watch this. So I'm like, okay, both sat and watched it. And he was huffing and hawing all the way through the movie. He was looking at me like, this is boring. I'm like, no, it gets to the good bit. Wait till the chest buster scene. After the chest buster scene, he's like, okay, I'm interested. And then he got bored again. He's like, no, I don't like this. I'm like, and
Wow.
I said to myself, he's not liking this because nothing's really happening. Kids these days, they just want bish bash bosh, boom boom boom, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
So I can understand how the younger generation won't like Alien, but I can see the point with Alien because nothing happens a lot of the time. There's a lot of moments where the camera pans around things that's not relevant, and it takes 5-10 minutes to do certain things that these days can take a minute to do. But for a movie made in 1979, I don't take marks off it for that, because
Yeah.
that's how movies were made back then. Overall, I still think it's a great movie. I still appreciate why people would say it's the greatest film ever, the greatest horror ever, etc. I appreciate all of that. But for me, I don't think it's aged as well as I thought it would, unfortunately.
Right.
I like it. I think it's really good. But I remember, and I'll need to watch it again, I remember Aliens being better for me than Alien.
Wow.
I'll need to rewatch it again, of course, Aliens.
Yeah.
But for me, it's a really good film, but it just didn't hit home for me anymore. That's why I was scared to rewatch it, because I remember loving it. And I did say to myself, if I watch this again, I probably won't love it the way I used to. And it's true. I watched it again and I no longer love it. So sad.
Oh,
Oh,
that's a
I
shame.
know. So, what about you, Cal? What are your thoughts then on Alien after 45 years now?
Well, I wholeheartedly disagree with everything you've just said. No, I'm kidding.
No, I hope you do disagree with most things. I hope you do.
I think it looks better than most movies that are out now. You know,
I agree
I
with
think
that, yeah.
the movies that are out now are just too clean looking, or just too. There's something about them that's just off. It just seems a bit kind of cookie cutter, you know, generic kind of stuff. Like I watched The Fall Guy the other night, and I was just kind of like, this looks far too clean and too polished and over edited, and you know, I just comparing it to a class Alien as a masterpiece. I genuinely think technically it's directed the hell out of from Ridley Scott. You know, the sets, you know, that they built, the costumes, the creature design. It's got so much going for it. The all the set pieces as well. You're talking about that Harry Dean Stanton scene where he's going into the kind of compartment storage unit, and the xenomorphs in the chains above it, and he's looking for Jonesy. And I think there's just something so scary about the fact that it doesn't show him getting killed. You're seeing Jonesy's reaction and how scared that cat is. It was just way ahead of its time. There's so much I absolutely love about this movie. I would put the set pieces up against most movies of its time, and yeah, I absolutely love it. Like, it's one of those movies that a lot of people think Aliens is the one, and that's fine. It's kind of like comparing Terminator 1 and Terminator 2 together. Which is your flavour, For me, Alien is much more my type of movie. Aliens is still great, but I would say Aliens doesn't hold up as well as what Alien does. That is maybe just my opinion.
Well, yeah, that's a good point. Well, again, I don't know. I've not seen Aliens for quite some time, and it's good that you mentioned Terminator, because I feel like Terminator 1 and Terminator 2 is very similar to how people feel about Alien and Aliens. Like Terminator 1 and Alien are considered more horror sci-fi than sci-fi horror. But then when you go to Terminator 2 and Aliens, they're more action sci-fi films than horror. So it's a good comparison. In fact, almost identical comparison to how the franchises went after that. Even when you compare Alien 3 and Terminator 3, they're considered some of the worst films in their franchises as well. So it's a really good comparison to how they both went along in it. Obviously, they came out round about the same time, apart from Alien in 79. It was like the kind of 80s films. That's how they were going.
And the first one is kind of like a slasher. Like Terminator 1, I don't care what anybody says, is a slasher. It's just a sci-fi slasher. Alien is a sci-fi slasher as well in space.
Yeah.
And Terminator 2 and Aliens are both action movies,
Directed by
so
the same
it's
guy.
like, and directed by James Cameron,
My Uncle James.
All awesome movies, to be honest.
Yeah. I've got an Uncle James Cameron,
No, have you?
Yeah. Obviously, my name's Barry Cameron. I've got my Uncle James.
Does he like submarines and, blue people?
Well, the funny thing is he loves Star Trek. And he was born on May the 4th as well. So May the 4th be with you.
Wow.
And that's obviously Star Wars, but he loves Star Wars as well. So yeah, he's a pure Trekkie sci-fi guy, and it's random that his name's James Cameron as well. So fun fact for you guys who don't know me, we do call him Jim though, but so does James Cameron. Is called Jim as well, I think. So
that's true. So to going back to just the movie and me kind of gushing on it, I just think the casting's absolutely great as well. Sigourney Weaver, I think this was her first movie. I think she was a kind of, Broadway actress before this, and you've got your classic actors like John Hurt and Ian Holm as well. I think Ash is just an intensely creepy, sexual android, and John Hurt's not in the film very much, but what he does is just absolutely brilliant. And obviously Harry Dean Stanton for me is one of the greatest character actors of all time. I rank him up there with Walton Goggins.
Really? He reminds me of Dick Miller from like the Gremlins and stuff and the Burbs. So he's a guy who lived to almost 100, and they were great character actors. Like they weren't ever the main character, but you always remembered them more than sometimes the main characters. They were that good. And Harry Dean Stanton is one of those character actors for me, and especially with Alien. If someone says name a Harry Dean Stanton movie, you would probably say Alien. That's probably his biggest role. Do you know the guy?
Paris, Texas is good as well.
Who? What?
Paris, Texas is good.
Is that a film?
I've
not seen that.
Great movie.
Yeah. Is he in that? I take it.
He's one of the main guys in it.
I'm sure he's.
He kind of
I'm sure he's in Christine as well.
Is he not the dad in that?
Yeah, I think so. I think he is.
It reminds me of the kind of, it looks like he should be, you know, on Friday the 13th, how they've got the crazy old guy on the bike. It
Yeah,
looks like he should be like
Crazy
that
Ralph.
type of actor.
Yeah,
Crazy Ralph.
he's
Yeah.
Crazy Harry.
But yeah, Sigourney Weaver, I would say, is arguably the best final girl
Oh
of
yeah,
all time.
yeah. She's got a bit of
Um,
everything, hasn't she? Action-packed superhero woman, and she's about
mhm.
5'10" as well, so she's quite commanding when it comes
Yeah.
to being on the screen. Yeah, she's definitely up there with the likes of Sarah Connor and Laurie Strode and
Mhm.
stuff like that. Do you know?
Yeah.
I can't remember. I think was Dallas's name is Tom Skerritt. I think.
Tom Skerritt, yeah.
I don't think I've ever seen him in anything apart from Alien.
No?
And the funny thing is, he seems like a. He looks like he should be a popular actor at the time as well.
Yeah. I think he's been in lots of stuff again.
I'm
He's
sure he
maybe
has.
just had smaller roles, but I don't know if he was in like just know how they get those kind of TV shows that are like not NCIS or whatever,
And
but like something like that. I don't know if he was in one of them back in the day.
yeah, probably
Um,
General Hospital or
but
something.
General Hospital. What's the one that Joey's in? Days of Our
These
Lives.
are our lives, yeah. See him in that. He's got an evil twin brother or something. But I probably should have checked it out. But yeah, he was pretty good in it as well. I thought he was going to be like the final guy,
Mm,
Dallas. You know, he was because he was like the captain of the ship and stuff. And I thought he's going to survive to the end. It's going to be him and Ripley, and they're going to get married after it or something like that. You know, that's the kind of thing it looked like it was going to happen. But I think
mm.
it was a good little twist that he was one of the first guys to go.
Yeah, and his death is
Oh,
incredible.
that was
Like
scary.
that scene.
Yeah, I jumped.
Yeah.
I forgot about that. My son obviously didn't know about it, and then when that scene happened, and he was looking left and right, when he looked left, the alien came out like this, and me and Jack
Yeah.
just went, "Oh Jesus!" That was a couple
That
of
is
good
the
jump scenes.
scariest the xenomorph has ever looked. Sorry,
Yeah, it was good.
scariest it's ever looked.
I also quite liked the bit where we got a fright of this bit when she was putting Jonesy in the chamber to go to sleep, and
Mm,
like she was kind of just we thought that would looks like it could have been the end of the movie, but obviously there's something going to happen. And then the alien was lying in the cables, and it just went,
mhm.
"Ah," and we went, "Oh Jesus!" So yeah, a few good jump scenes in it that I forgot all
Yeah,
about, which was decent, you know.
yeah. 45 years later, and it can still get you.
Exactly, exactly. So I'm going to go into the rest of the guys' memories of their first time, hopefully seeing Alien. Now, there are a lot of comments that I got. Some of the comments is just you guys telling me that you loved the movie, which is absolutely amazing. But what I'm still looking for is people's memories of the movie. So I've selected a few of them, maybe about 5 or 6 of them, 7 or 8, and then we can talk about those as well. Callum, you ready?
Yep.
So
Yep.
the first one is from Iron Metal Man. This was on Twitter. He said, born in 86. That's kind of in between us two. So
Mhm.
born in 86, growing up with the 80s and 90s horror icons. I'd never saw a movie monster like this before. It was mesmerizing. The animatronics, the shivering of the lips with the drool, the intending jaw. It became an instant icon in horror that captivated and shocked. I'm glad they mentioned that because we never really. I know you said you liked the design, but we never really went into the design of the xenomorph. But for its time,
Mhm.
again, it was fantastic. There was a scene that I actually really loved. It looked fake, but it looked like it added to it. Where when the second
Mhm.
set of teeth came out, you see a little
Yeah.
clear silicone thing opening up.
Y- Yeah.
Do you remember that? I thought that
Yeah.
looked fake, but watching it
Mm,
again, I'm like, even though that doesn't look intentional, it looks amazing. The fact that this kind of clear silicone stuff came up to bring the other
yeah.
tooth out, it was again for a 45-year-old movie. The design was amazing, wasn't it?
Mm, absolutely. And I think that was a guy in a suit as well. I
Yeah,
think there was a guy that wore that. And, you know, eh, there's nothing like it. And I think after Alien came out, everyone else was kind of like, well, we're not going to ever be able to top that.
yeah.
If we're making an Alien film, we're never going to be able to top the look. So let's not try.
Yeah, and I don't think people have. Obviously, with the Alien movies, they've progressed over the years. Some
Mm,
decent looking aliens in the franchise, some iffy looking ones as well. But overall, the whole Alien franchise, the look of the Xenomorph has kind of stayed the same, and it's always been
yeah.
iconic for 45
Oh, yeah.
years. It's been great. So yeah, I've seen a lot of movies where they've tried to make it look like that, and it's just not worked at all. It's
Yeah,
fell flat in its
absolutely.
face. So even the Predator, like Jean-Claude Van Damme played the Predator in '87,
Yeah.
and it kind of resembled the Xenomorph, and it looks like they thought, right, you're terrible, and so is the design. We're scrapping it and starting again. I'm glad they did because
Yeah.
it looks a lot better.
That film would have been horrendous if it
Oh,
was the original design.
I'd love to have seen it. See if they shot any of that footage. I'd love to have watched it. Had it been
Yeah.
enough. The next comment is from Kieran Griffiths. Kieran said, I remember seeing Aliens first when I was young and fell in love with it. So when it came to Alien, and knowing there was only one Alien movie, I remember not really being excited compared to the balls to the wall action of the second. I watched it 3 times that day. What a masterpiece. So yeah, it looks like some people were kind of put off by a sequel because they loved the fact that Alien was just so perfect.
Mm,
And if you were going to do a sequel, luckily it was James Cameron that came along and thought, let's make it a little bit different because I'm not going to try and
yeah.
emulate the first one because
Yeah.
you just can't. So instead of trying to do the same, he done it different, but made it his
Mhm.
own. Um, so I'm glad that people gave Aliens a chance. Obviously, I'm not old enough to remember if I gave that a chance before the other one, but
Mhm.
do you feel the same? Like, if you're going to do a
I
sequel
think
to Alien, it has to be different.
yeah, it would just be repetition, wouldn't it? It would you can. I think James Cameron did a good job of keeping a lot of the elements that people liked about the first one,
Yeah,
but made it a bit more of a kind of military action movie, and the characters are a bit more fun and a bit more amped up than what the characters are in the first one. You know, it's completely contrast. They're a bit more kind of 80s and macho and,
yeah,
good one liners and stuff like that. And I think quite a lot of people prefer Aliens to Alien, but, they're two totally different movies.
yeah. I'm glad they are as well because you can enjoy both of them for different reasons, I guess.
Yeah. And I think that's why quite a lot of people don't like the third one as well, because the third one again went different. But
Mm,
I still enjoy that as well. I enjoy all of them really. Once it got to like Alien vs Predator and Covenant and stuff like that, obviously you're just watching it, being like, yeah, this is not good. But at the same time, I can still sit and watch them.
yeah. I'm the same. I watched Prometheus not so long ago, and when I watched Alien the other day, I was like, "Oh, there's the gunship thing with the skeleton on the gun." I'm like, "Oh, that's the guy from Prometheus." So it
Space Jockey.
yeah, so it did make sense. Prometheus made
Hmm.
sense in a way. Obviously, you get the big
I
ship
like
and stuff.
Prometheus.
Yeah, I thought it was pretty decent. And I think if you watched Prometheus first, and if you liked it, then you watch Alien, you'll probably like Alien more and still
Mm,
understand that Prometheus was a prequel. So I think it done its job,
yeah.
to be honest. It was not too bad.
Yeah, there's a lot of stupid stuff in Prometheus, but that's just nitpicky in it. Like,
Yeah.
if you can just sit back and enjoy a movie for what it is, like, whereas it's not perfect, but
Mhm.
and they kind of went a different direction to what a lot of people wanted them to go.
Yeah,
But still a fun entry.
absolutely. Next one is from Is It Me You're Looking For? 9,800. They said, great movie. I knew it wasn't finished at the part where the cat was put in the sleep chamber. I knew when she closed her lid, something else was going to happen. Well, that was tense. I loved that ending. Yeah, I felt the same. Like rewatching the ending again, I knew something happened after it, but it looked like an ending that could have just ended when the alien went like this and the
Mm,
cables, and then they could have cut it there, and I would have still been
mhm.
satisfied. Did you think there was going to be something after that when the cat was put in?
Always the case with movies like that, when you think the final act's over,
Mhm.
and then it keeps kind of going on for a wee bit more. You're kind of just waiting for something to happen, but you obviously didn't expect it to happen the way it does, because when you look at her walk by that area, the
Mhm.
xenomorph's like folded up and it looks like part of the ship.
Yeah,
And I think that's just the brilliance of it. And obviously the sets that tie into that, it's just absolutely perfect. And then, it would have been a good cliffhanger if they'd kind of just been like left it at that point, but it had to get put out that compartment at the end.
yeah, because I think if they left it in a cliffhanger, we could have been looking at an alien landing on Earth. which would have been interesting, you
Yeah.
know. But yeah, that was a great ending. Next one, we've got Muckman Movies, who said, I saw Alien at a very young age. My mum would take me and my sister to bed, then come wake me up when Alien started on TV. I was probably, that's a good way to wake you up. I was probably about 8 or 9 years old when I first saw it. It was a terrifying but exhilarating experience, and probably the reason I have a massive xenomorph obsession. Yeah, you sound like my cousin, to be honest. I think when you
Mm,
watch it at such a young age and you love it, even if you're scared, you get so obsessed that you want to build your costumes, you want to get all the toys and stuff like that. You know, it is an obsession. Like Alien
mm,
franchise is like the Halloween franchise. You know, like if you love at least one, two movies in the franchise, regardless of any other of them, all the other ones are bad. I feel like you still go and watch them because you're dedicated
mhm.
to the xenomorph. You know,
Yeah.
do you feel that
Aye.
way? Like even if you didn't like Alien 3 or Alien versus Predator, you go for specific characters or aliens?
Yeah, it's a horror icon, isn't it? It's exactly just like why people go to see Michael Myers or Freddy Krueger or Jason Voorhees. You know, it's up there with the Mount Rushmore. It's just that obviously a lot of people see it more kind of sci-fi than horror, and I don't think I'm maybe speaking for everybody else, and that's not what I should be doing. But like, I don't meet a lot of people that love Alien.
Hmm.
You know, there's not a huge amount of people that love it. Um, like, I guess I've not been to the conventions or anything like that, but maybe you could let me know in the comments if you love it or not. But
Hmm.
I don't come across people that are big fans of this franchise that often.
Yeah, I'm the same. You know, if it wasn't for my cousin, I don't know if I would even get into the franchise because I don't know anybody else face to face that talks about Alien as much as people online or my cousin Brian. You know, so thanks to
Mm,
those specific people, that's why I know about it, or at least I knew about it back then. I would obviously know about it later on, but
mm.
not then.
You absolutely need to try and get some pictures from the xenomorph that he's built, or if there's any kind of archive footage from
Oh,
back in the day.
it would be so good. I know he's got some photographs of the latest one that he made, which was a good
Oh,
10, 15 years ago. But as a kid, he probably won't have it, but you never know. I'm going to ask him. Hopefully,
yeah.
he'll have something. Um, next one's from Declan3245. Declan said, when I was about 12, we were going on a family holiday and had to leave for the airport around 5 a.m. I was too excited to get any sleep beforehand, so my dad suggested we watch a movie. Being a huge horror fan already, I'd recently got the Alien 1 to 4 box set for my birthday and had yet to watch them, so we decided to watch Alien at around 2 a.m. and I loved it. Will always remember how much I jumped at the vent scene. There you go, talking about the vent scene.
Mm,
Yeah,
yeah.
the great thing about these comments and memories is they sort of, or most of the time, align with our
Mm,
memories. You know, like 12 years
yeah.
old. You were about 12 years old, 10 years old, and your parents let you watch these things, which is great.
Hmm.
You know, it's great that they back in the day they trusted you to know the difference between reality and a movie, and
Yeah.
that's the kind of memory that Declan has that I had as well, and just same as you had the exact same memory.
Yeah.
It's great.
I mean, my parents never let me watch anything like that. It was all like when I got put to bed, I would put the TV back on,
All right. Okay.
and I would watch.
Oh well.
My mum and
Boo.
dad were like, "You're not watching that," but
Yeah,
yeah,
my mum and dad would always say no, but they would do it anyway. Like if I say, "Oh, can I watch A Nightmare on Elm Street?" They'll say, "No, you can't watch that," and then they'll press play, and they'll say, "Don't you watch that? We're watching the movie." So they would watch it, and I'm sitting there. I'm like, "Okay, I'll watch it too then." So it's almost like they say no officially, but they're like, "I just watch it. Don't worry about it."
yeah.
Next one's from Jordan Moran, 1983. Jordan said, joint favorite film of all time with The Thing. Can't remember the first
Oh,
time seeing it, unfortunately, as I was probably an infant. um, got my highest grade from an exam in high school from a written art assessment on the creature design. Oh, fancy,
mm,
fancy. Um,
wow.
how amazing would it be to be able to do a project in school related to something that you absolutely love? Be amazing.
Mm,
I actually done that though in third year. When I was in third year, I got to speak about something I was passionate about, and that was the Titanic, the ship, Titanic, not the movie.
mm,
And I absolutely loved the movie anyway. So I was taking a lot of information from the movie, from magazines and stuff. And when you've got
mm,
project that you're so passionate about, it's amazing. And the fact that Jordan was able to do an art assessment on the design of the Xenomorph, that's like a dream assessment, isn't it?
Yeah, no, that's absolutely quality. The only thing, I mean, I never really went to school that much, so
Dum dum.
I don't know if I don't know if those kind of things existed. But the only thing I can remember was show and tell. I don't know if you had show and tell.
Yeah, I had show and tell. Yeah,
where you got to take like a tin home and you have to put something in it, and then you have to talk about the thing that's in it. That's
right.
as good as I got.
Oh no, we done show and tell, but we done show but don't tell.
Oh,
show what you've got, but don't tell anybody how you got it. That's the Glasgow way. Next one is from Flick Symmetry. Flick Symmetry said, easily one of my all-time favourites and still scary today. I saw it in Minneapolis theatre when it was originally released. My good friend Doug,
wow.
well, he must be a little bit older than us then. My good friend Doug and I were 12 and already huge horror fans. We bought tickets for a PG film and snuck into Alien. They were strict back then. We were awestruck and terrified. Saw it a second time the weekend after. It became a bit of an obsession that summer as we drew many versions of the Alien, Nostromo, etc. I still have the original novelization. Sadly, Doug is no longer with us. Oh, rest in peace. But I watched the film several times each year in his honour. It's now a favourite of my grown kids as well. That's actually a really nice memory.
That's beautiful.
Yeah,
that is beautiful.
You've got a friend.
I love that.
Yeah, it's a shame. Obviously, Doug would have only been born in 67 then, so that's no age at all. But the fact that that person holds a memory of one of their friends' relation to a movie and being able to remember that. I've got a friend who was one of my best friends, Darren. He's sadly passed away as well. He died 21 years ago, and we used to watch South Park together all the time. And I don't watch South Park anymore, but when I watch episodes of South Park that we watch together, I've got fond memories of that because of my relationship with Darren. And it's the exact same with this guy, with Doug. Great memories, and obviously what a memory to have, and what a movie to have a memory in honour of a person like that.
And rewatch it every year just as a kind of like ode to them. That's beautiful.
The fact that his kids are grown up now and they love it is also a bonus. Unfortunately for me though, my kid Jack will probably never watch it again. He's like, nah, this is boring stuff. That's a really nice memory. I'm glad I read that one out. We'll do two more. This one's from Jennifer Lopez. Yes.
Oh,
the real Jennifer Lopez. She said,
wow, one of my first crushes of all time.
Well, she's got a comment for you, Callum. She says, don't be afraid by the rocks that I got. Nah, I'm only joking. She says, she's still getting from the block. She said, this is actually a good one. My memory of first seeing this movie, Alien, is something that really marked me because I watched this classic in Paris, in a movie theatre in Paris. Yes. Well, that would be interesting. I don't even think Jennifer's from France as well. She comments quite a lot, but seen it in a different country. I don't know if maybe Jennifer watched it in subtitles or if it was dubbed or whatever, but it would be a weird experience watching an American movie in a foreign country that don't speak English as a first language. Unless Jennifer speaks French, but could you imagine coming out of the theatre and going, "Oh, that was great, wasn't it?" And they're like, "Oui, oui, je m'appelle." And I'm like, "Oh, who can I talk to about this?" Have you ever seen a movie in a different country that don't speak English?
No, I couldn't do it. I was having this conversation the other night with someone about subtitles, and I just can't do it. There was a small period of my life that I was really into French cinema,
right?
Because it was so good. I was just like, I'm going to have to just get used to these subtitles, but I can't do it. I can't focus on reading the words and paying attention to what is on screen. So yeah, I couldn't be able to do that.
I'm okay with it now. I think before I couldn't do it, but now I'm focused so much on the subtitles when I'm watching a subtitled movie that I don't miss anything anymore, because there's some like English speaking movies where I've maybe missed a piece of dialogue and I'm like, oh, what's happening here? Did I miss something? Whereas with subtitles, when I'm reading it, I'm like, I can't miss a thing. Otherwise, I know I've missed something. So I'm really concentrating on the subtitles. It's almost like reading a book. I don't mind.
Yeah,
I don't
but
mind it anymore. As long as the film's good, then it works. You know.
yeah, how does it work though in terms of like, is it subtitles on the screen? Would that not piss everybody else off? Or I suppose you're going to a screening that's got subtitles for that reason.
Well, that's why I'm wondering: is Alien being presented in English with French
Mm,
subtitles, or is it being
yeah,
presented with dubbed actors, like speaking French over the voices? They can do that sometimes as well. So
yeah.
like it won't be.
JLo is going to have to get into the comment section and let us
I
know.
know. I'm sure she will. So Jennifer, if you're watching this, let us know how it went down. So last, I'll read out one more comment. We've got Modern Peasants 7 said the memory from my first viewing of Alien in 2019 was thinking to myself, this could have been filmed yesterday. Such wonderful set design and practical effects. That's a really good
Yeah,
end to the comments, Callum, because that's exactly what you said about the whole set design and stuff like that. It was
yeah.
ahead of its time. Like I would love to be part of that, like on the ship, even though it's not a ship, being in a kind of alien Nostromo
Hmm.
set design. Like if you're going to a
Like a
club,
replica.
yeah, a replica of it, and you go there with the costume and stuff. It's amazing because it is claustrophobic, but it looks like a lot of fun, doesn't it?
Yeah, and you got a little bit of that in that kind of event that I was telling you
Yeah,
about. Hopefully that's still kicking about. If it is, we need to go because it's so much fun.
yeah, we'll
But
be
yeah, like there's so much emphasis on Star Wars, and I get that it's more targeted towards kids. But
yeah.
give us like an adult theme park that's got like a replica of the Nostromo, and you can get chased about by aliens all night. That would be fun.
That'd be amazing. Yeah, like laser tag or zap zone stuff, and like you have to shoot them and they have to kill you and stuff. Be great.
Laser tag, you just nailed it in the head. You've just given someone an idea.
Mhm.
Aliens would be perfect for a kind of laser tag simulation or something.
I wouldn't be surprised if it's already there. Like, surely someone has thought of that, an alien theme laser tag.
Mm,
Surely, unless they don't have the rights to it, like 20th Century Studios. Um, is it Disney now? Whoever owns the rights now
yeah,
will
it's
be like,
Disney. Yeah,
yeah. So they'll be like, nope, you're not touching a xenomorph. Maybe that's why we have to get like fake looking ones all the time.
yeah. That's a goddamn shame.
I know. So that's all the comments done. That's all the memories, guys. It was amazing reading all the memories out, especially the one about Doug. That was quite touching, to be
Yeah,
honest. Really
yeah.
nice, and that's the reason I do these anniversary reviews. It's not a full out review for a movie. I don't go step by step. This is how I love the story. Blah blah blah. Just about films that most people will celebrate, especially on an
Mm,
anniversary. And the fact that this movie's 45 years old, it feels 45 years old in terms of the time, but watching the movie, and I'm sure you'll agree, Callum, is it doesn't look like a 45-year-old movie. I would say 15, 20 years maximum because of some of the
mm-hmm,
tech used in it. The tech obviously can't be helped because they can't
mm-hmm,
see into the future. But to round it off, what are your overall thoughts then of Alien itself?
mm-hmm. I absolutely love it. I think it's probably in my top 10 movies of all time. It's
Mhm.
just something that I hold very dearly. And, you know, will it be nostalgia for the first time I watched it, or whether it be because I absolutely love it, it's just got such an effect on me. And it just pleases my eyes. It's how I like my sci fi. I like how you were saying about all the old kind of technology. I love that. I love the old kind of computers and keyboards, and I think it looks dead cool. But for me, it's up there as one of the greatest films ever made.
Nice, excellent. And I don't feel the opposite. I just feel like I wish I never watched it again because I feel like
Mhm,
everything that you're saying I agreed with before I watched it again, and then rewatching it for this review, I'm like, oh no, why did I watch this? It's still really good. It's still a perfectly made movie, and I can
mhm,
see why it's a masterpiece to people. But for
mhm,
me, the worst part about it is the editing. I think if they cleaned the editing up a bit, maybe shortened the movie because there's some scenes that lasted way too long. If they made it an hour and a half, it was like just under 2 hours, but if they made it an hour and a
mhm,
half, took away some of the scenes that weren't needed and changed the editing a little bit, I think I still would have appreciated it as much as I did when I was younger. But again, that's just small gripes. And those small gripes don't make it a bad film. It's still a really good film. It's just a movie that I just won't go back and watch for quite some time until I've maybe forgotten about it again. Still really liked it though, and I appreciate if you say it's the best film ever. Jim, Bob, anybody else that say it's the greatest film ever, I'll be like, I can understand why, because it has such an impact on not just the movie industry, but pop culture, everything to do with anything. Everybody knows, even if they've never seen the movies, everybody knows what the Alien movies are. Everybody knows what a Xenomorph is. Everybody knows what it looks like. Everybody knows Sigourney Weaver, Ripley, you name it. Everybody knows whether you've seen it or not. And that shows that the movie has stood the test of time over 45 years. It's amazing.
Yeah. And that's what I love about film as well, is that we all have our own taste. We all like, am I saying that, you know, my top 10 favorite movies are the best films ever made because they're my top favorite? No, I'm saying they're my favorite, you know, and that's what I love about everybody having their own unique tastes.
Absolutely. So before we go, Callum, if you want, you can plug your channel or anything you want. Just for anyone who doesn't know you, where can they find you?
So I'm probably the worst content creator out there.
That's why we love you. That's why we love you.
I hardly post anything, but I can be found on YouTube at Pop Culture Patter, Instagram at Pop Culture Patter. I am on TikTok at Pop Culture Patter as well, but I don't really use it. Kind of against TikTok, but yeah, feel free if you want to follow, subscribe. If not, I don't blame you. I've got about 18 episodes of a podcast up. It's not the end of the world.
But they're all really good episodes as well. Even though I don't know any of your guests that you're on, the way you interview them, I feel like I know them by the end of the interview. So that's why I really love your style of interviews, because it's so natural. But what I'll do, Callum, as well, is I'll leave all your links down below anyway. So if anyone's watching this video and they're interested, then all the links will be down below anyway, and they can click on and enjoy. If they really like it.
It's always an honor to have you on this channel. Obviously, I was a fan of this channel before we met, so it's always a huge honor to come on. So thank you again for inviting me on.
It's not a problem, Cam. I think if there's anybody that I want to talk to about films that's from my country, it'll be someone like yourself, because even though we don't share the same opinions on specific movies, we share the same respect for each other's opinions as well, which is always really good. So it's great having you on, and obviously I'll definitely have you on again so we can talk more good movies. Some great, some bad, some great, some good.
I have one last little question before we go. Do you class Alien as a horror?
Yeah, Alien is definitely that's why it's on the channel, because it's mostly horror that I do anyway. But if I had to categorize Alien, it would be horror, sci-fi. But with Aliens, it would be action, sci-fi, horror. That's the way I see it, you know.
Because I know some people don't see Alien as a horror; they see it more as a sci-fi. But my argument is, if The Thing is a horror, so is Alien. You know, because they're both kind of samey.
Yeah, they've both got sci-fi elements.
Both amazing movies as well.
It's the same with The Faculty as well. The Faculty, obviously not as good, but The Faculty is horror, sci-fi. So that's the way I see it. But everyone's different.
Another great movie.
Yeah. If someone said to me, Alien's a sci-fi horror, I would be like, cool. Yeah, I can see why you would say that. And hopefully they would see why we would see it as a horror sci-fi, you know, but everyone's different. But I would just say that the majority of people would say that Alien is a horror first and foremost. Would you not think so?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Aye.
Yeah, absolutely.
Brilliant.
Anyway, guys, that's all for today. I know it's a longer episode, but when I get a guest on for the anniversary reviews, they will naturally last longer. But anyway, guys, thanks a lot for watching again. Oh, before we go, if you haven't left a memory, or if I haven't read one out, and it's not too late, you can leave your memory down below, and we can always read the memories after the fact as well. That's why these videos are really good, because not only do I read memories during the video, but I'll also read them after it as well. And I'm sure Callum will dip in and have a little read of them as well.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So anyway, guys, thanks a lot for watching again. Thanks for subscribing, and we'll see you soon. Bye-bye.
Meeting adjourned.
I'll be right back.
What are you waiting for, huh?
Coming to get you, Barbara.
Ever played Skin the Cat?
Someone's in the back!